I've made it no secret that I love Cynthia Rothrock. She's done some great B-movies and fantastic action-packed martial arts adventures. This movie does not fall into either category. However, I can give American Tigers credit for the completely ludicrous premise. It did make me laugh. However, getting to the good stuff is a long, tedious process. Check this cover. It looks awesome, right? All you really need for an action movie is a rockin' pose and an American flag. Not advertised on the front here? The Soul Taker himself, Joe Estevez. Holy free holy, you've got Cynthia Rothrock and Joe Estevez in one film, directed by David Worth, aka the guy responsible for Shark Attack 3? Sign me up, I am not missing this ride. It's really, really boring. Like, really boring, dudes. That doesn't mean it isn't worth talking about, but man was it difficult to get through this. Basic premise, there are some terrorist dudes ready to take on America, so of course the solution the government comes up with is to have some killers on death row trained to fight them in exchange for getting exonerated. Why they come up with this idea when they have perfectly good soldiers to use, I don't know. They don't have any special skills and actually suck pretty hardcore. The movie focuses on their training mostly, but no one has enough of a personality for you to care about them. I don't know any of their names, dead serious. Oh, and if you aren't bored by the tedious training montages, you'll be treated to scenes of terrorists saying several variations of the same dialogue on a boat. At one point, the government says, "Hey dudes, we actually didn't want those known killers to take on this mission," which makes sense, but then makes you wonder why they did it in the first place. So their sergeant suggests this. They fight a group of Navy SEALs to decide who should go into combat. That's right, they have a contest to prove who is the better terrorist fighting team. And the government actually approves of this. They actually are playing it like an inspiring underdog story. These are murderers. They make absolutely no attempt to make any of them likable, compelling, or even memorable. They even tell in detail who they murdered and why, and none of them are doing this to become better people, it's because they'll die otherwise. And the sergeant isn't any better, he's going around killing guys and pretending it was self-defense. Oh yeah, and during the big fight with the Navy SEALs, the rival coach, Navy guy, has the sergeant knocked out and put in the shed. He proceeds to wake up and act like he's running out of air or something, then axes the door. There's a window right behind you, man. This accomplishes nothing but padding the movie out. The murderers win the fight just fine, and the sergeant shows up to the fight halfway through. There are no consequences to any of this. As for Joe Estevez, he's the general. He talks a lot. Yep. Nice seeing you, Joe. You might be wondering about Cynthia Rothrock's involvement in this. Well, she plays herself. Yes. Cynthia Rothrock plays Cynthia Rothrock. I couldn't make this up if I tried. The sergeant calls in a favor from Cynthia. She goes in and kicks the murderer guys' asses, and I guess from this, they learn how to fight. That's right, Cynthia Rothrock is close friends with a military guy known for killing people, and trains a bunch of death row inmates to fight terrorists. This is actually part of the plot of this movie. The initial scene of her beating them up doesn't even have a real conclusion. They were supposed to be trying to beat her so they could get bunks to sleep in. She kicks all of their butts, except for one guy who breaks out of her hold and they come to an understanding, I guess. If you want to stretch things, you could say he's the best one on the team. The guy is in shape, but he's like the scrawniest one there. And his mustache does most of his acting for him. And that's it for Cynthia Rothrock. Yeah, she's on the cover, but it's a glorified cameo. It's sad to say that her short bit is more charismatic and interesting than the entirety of the rest of the movie. After this, the sergeant actually says they've done such a great job that he's rewarding them. They've done nothing to prove that they've learned anything. Oh, and there's a guy at a motorcycle bar who judges wet t-shirt contests. I only mention this because when our ragtag team of psychotic killers get ready to take on the terrorists, this guy and his motorcycle buddy ask if they can tag along. Sure, why not? Hang on, don't they have to fight some Navy SEALs to prove their worth or something? By the way, the actual terrorist fighting portion of the movie? 8 minutes. You have to slog through all of that for 8 minutes worth of the actual plot. And why didn't they attack the boat with the terrorists before if they already knew they were in it? And how did they know about the big terrorist meeting going on that night? I mean, I guess it's convenient that they're all in one place, but it seems like they probably weren't that hard to kill in the first place. They could have just bombed the boat with a helicopter and called it a day. Seems like a waste of time and resources, much like this movie. It strikes me that giving a bunch of killers on death row high explosives and guns would be a stupid idea. Apparently they don't know how to use the guns anyway. Look at this guy's expression, he's terrified. They forgot to dub in any yells or screams either, he's just got this silent look of pain on his face. Speaking of forgetting to dub something, that's how they kill the main terrorist. It's so underwhelming, you wouldn't believe it. The final explosion is pretty hilarious, though. And with a very yellow speech at the end, our movie comes to a close. I'll give the film credit for having one of the most ludicrous premises I've come across, but there's something to be said about the execution. It's not a good Cynthia Rothrock movie, it's not a good Joe Estevez movie, it's not really much of a movie. If you're a diehard fan of either of these actors, it might be worth a look, but be warned. You're gonna want to watch this one with some friends.